better than me.
Stop.
Because it's post-produced, and I'm live, and live is never as good. All right, so our next match is going to be Impact versus GateKeepers. Again, if you follow the scene, you know this is intense. If you don't, let you know. Let us inform you why this is intense. We'll start with you.
All right, so the fact that GateKeepers is even in this bracket is a little bit surprising. Everybody expected GateKeepers to be the second qualifier behind Impact, but like we mentioned, E United came through the qualifiers and tore apart these teams, taking the first initial spot. So GateKeepers being forced down to be in this bracket with Impact. These are seen as the top 2 teams in Europe, and the fact that they're leading off this this bracket play is so crazy. This seems to me like a qualifier for LAN kind of thing, not something that would happen already.
So he's insinuating this is the highlight of the day, probably.
Yeah, this is the match of the day. You don't want to miss this one.
All right, so let's talk about rosters. What are we looking at? Who are the I don't want to say star players. Let's pick one player on each team, just so we can kind of talk about, because there's 6. We're never going to have the time. And I want to inform the ones that either do know, but the ones that don't know, what should we look forward to?
What if I talk really fast? Can I talk about all 6?
No, please don't.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so one player from each team. One player that's really stood out to me lately on the side of GateKeepers is Rutha. Rutha is their melee player. He's been playing Bako for a really long time. Bako wasn't picked at all in competitive Battlerite, and then Rutha kind of reimagined how Bako should be played in competitive Battlerite. He plays very safe, very team-oriented with in-cap spam, and he always tries to enable his team to be successful. Very team-focused player. On the other side, Impact, we have Veg. I see Veg as the most dominant melee player in Battlerite. It's him, Surmea, and Procer, one of these 3 in my opinion. And this guy, he dictates the pace of the game for his team. He is the one that makes space for Diz and Godolph to play aggressively or defensively, and how Veg does is generally reflective of how the round is going to go for Impact.
And something cool that we really don't talk about as far as Battlerite choices, and I know that a lot of you out there are like, oh, what's the best Battlerite to choose, or who to choose it? I think the best way to think about it is raw value. How do you play that champion?
Yep.
Do you play this champion by spamming something that's a long distance and you just kind of like want to play safe, build up energy, and then throw some real fat stuff when you watch them make mistakes? Then find Battlerites that let you excel in that. Now, yes, there are certain play styles that are inherently better or will help you win depending on who you're playing with, but it's all about team composition. So if you don't have that team composition, don't feel like you have to pick a certain Battlerite path. Sometimes when I play Bako, people don't use the Howling Axe cooldown reduction very often, but sometimes I do it because it's hilarious.
Yeah, you play with this guy when he's playing Bako, he just M2s half the match. Yeah.
It's so much fun, and especially if I'm going against a double range in like a 2v2 match, I'm just going to fling axes at you, and every time I make contact, I'm going to build snare and cooldown reduction.
Yep.
You're snared for 1 less second than I have the cooldown, so I'm just going to keep smacking you. I'm going to have energy before you even know it. I have out-damaged a Destiny in Diamond Rank by just axes. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
So now with the draft, again, simple blind draft, 1 at a time, and we're going to see the support getting revealed for GateKeepers immediately.
A lot of Blossom picks today. I'm not too sure. We haven't seen any success with Blossom in the 2 games we've seen it prior to this, so we'll see how Jolts plays this. Jolts, of course, being the healer player for GateKeepers. I'm sure all of the people here know who Jolts is, the face of Battlerite.
Yeah, the face of Battlerite.
On the other side, Dizzler going to be playing the Varesh. It could also be Vague, but it's unlikely. They are players that are versatile enough to switch it up, but I'm going to assume it's Diz. Anyways, he is very good at this character and kind of brought to the meta how he is played currently. He's going to be focused a lot on gaining energy really quickly and spamming that ult. And against the Blossom, that ult spam can be really effective since he only has 1 movement ability.
So we're going to see Paloma and Bako for the next picks. So I'm assuming on Blossom, or sorry, not on Blossom. Who's that on Paloma?
Godolph.
Godolph. That's what I figured, yeah. There's actually, and I spoke to you a little bit about this. One of the first times I saw Godolph, this had to be about a year ago. When was Enter the Arena?
It was a while ago, about a year.
It was about a year ago. Godolph, and this is, I mean, it's really fun looking at old. Actually, you know what? We'll talk about it later. There's more important stuff going on right now. We've got a Jamong pick, and we have an Ashka pick. We don't see Ashka very much, or unless we haven't seen Ashka very much.
You don't see Ashka unless it's Hot Biscuit.
And
this is Hot Biscuit. This is the Ashka player, the premier Ashka player in the world. He's played so many games on this character. He's switched over to the Esmo as of late, but he's returning to his mainstay here. I really like it with the Bako. Of course, Bako.
Yeah.
He sets up in caps.
I think it works. Yeah, I think it works really well. The in cap with the volcano, or even an E into a volcano. There's a lot of things. Bulwark stun into volcano. If you know exactly what your opponents have against it, you're going to see Jamong, another Jamong. I don't think we ever saw one. Did we see any in North America?
I don't believe so.
I don't
no.
think so. So now we've seen 2 so far in Europe. So this is where you can immediately see this regional difference of just the play styles and what they find valuable and how they try and bring it to the match.
Right. I'm very interested to see how Impact end up drafting this, how they play it, or how they place each character on their players. Of course, I mentioned Veg and Dizzler, both very versatile players, and they've picked 2 range that both of these players can play. Dizzler, we saw play Jumong a couple weeks ago in the qualifier. His Jumong was disgusting. This guy is so good at this character. So if this is Dizzler Jumong, you really got to be concerned if you're a fan of the GateKeepers.
The few times it's ever worth giving Twitch chat power to put something on screen, it's for predictions. Let's see what everybody else thought. Remember, you can do predictions if you go in before this day starts. We're going to see Impact at 44, GateKeepers at 56. Now, I'd pretty split again. We really haven't seen any heavy-handed votes, even throughout yesterday's broadcast, maybe a couple. But it's pretty apparent considering what you've been saying.
Yeah, I'm going to say the star power goes into this one a little bit. People rooting for their board Jolts. But
Probably.
I'm feeling pretty confident for Impact going into this one. I really like this comp they're running too. We saw last game the amount of damage Jumong can put out. It's dumb. When you apply that or applied Varesh's judgment to that as well, like this Jumong's damage numbers are just going to be unreal.
So I think it's going to be really difficult for a Bako to get into Impact. As a Bako main, I'm looking at this composition, and I'm like, this is garbage.
Absolutely.
This is absolute trash. I do not want to deal with this right now. You've got a Paloma Panic, potentially, most likely a Paloma Reset as well, depending on how she's going to play. You've got a Varesh who's got a counter, who's got a shield that can potentially deal some damage, and he's also got debuffs on you. Then you've also got a Jumong who can space out, who can then trap you, and then double rain of arrows you. Not fun as any melee. Obviously, we're going to probably have to see Ashka getting a lot of that initiation from a distance to try and force just a little bit of movement, or together. Essentially, Bako goes in while Ashka's following in pursuit so that they can do the damage together, force out the cooldowns, and Bako won't get punished too much. Not going to be fun. He does have Blossom to help out, but a lot of AoE for Impact.
Man, are you the host or the analyst?
A little bit of both.
These points you're making, absolutely spot on. I couldn't agree anymore.
The only thing I can give you are going to be Bako points.
But yeah, man, I was going to point out this Bako is going to have a really rough time here. Going to be very difficult for him to find his way in safely and find damage. Rutha, but luckily, he is the safest Bako player that I've seen. So if anybody can do it, he can.
So we used to see a team composition that we called either Battleship or Castle, and it was Paloma and Varesh together. Because what are you supposed to do to close in on that? Really nothing. You try your best to split it up, and you find that minuscule moment where you can just dedicate everything you can and then get like the 100% to 80% trade. You're going to take so much damage, but you're going to try and go for the kill. But Rutha going in immediately just wants to try and split them up, poke them out. He got some ability out of Dizzler, but that space bar from Godav is just keeping him at full health.
Yeah, look at that healing too on Dizzler. He's getting so much value out of his Seeker's Mark, and Rutha having such a hard time getting in like you mentioned he would. The red team, they do secure mid though. That orb is very important as Rutha's already down to only 160 HP.
But it does have an ultimate, and I imagine that's how Bako's going to get a lot of his damage. He wants to try and go. No, he gets the double in cap. Oh, but the other side, just as the stun comes out. I like the timing too. Godav hoping they dedicate a little bit more cooldowns to that. So he saved the other side for the very, very last second. Now Jolts, he's got an ultimate as well. A lot of energy. Rutha nearly building up his. Red team, I think, is going to get most of these orbs.
Another
double in cap.
Yeah, absolutely huge. Godav dropping his ultimate there, helping out his ally. And Veg countering the Dance of the Dryads. Really nicely done here. Jolt's now on the run, and GateKeepers are so split up, Carpet.
You can see the Bako trying to WASD himself out of damage, but Dizzler's still able to put enough. Hot Biscuit has 125% energy. Puts down Firewall. Still has enough for an ultimate. Will Blue get their first orb? No. It's going to be the Volcano that helps secure it. Rutha's got enough energy for an ultimate, but he actually retreats to go for health. I think it's smart. They've got mid control. They're still getting orb after orb.
This is how the GateKeepers play. They're going to look for this one big combo. They all three have ultimates. They need to find a big in cap with Rutha, and he needs to make sure Godav uses other side before he goes for it, or else it will just be for nothing. We see it here. The damage coming out here, but the Prowl's available. Not too much value, but Veg starts to get kind of low.
Holding this much meter is always a little bit scary, but there's going to be an ultimate onto Vig, pushing him through the ult. But now he's actually going to smack into the counter, not aware that he had it. Vig finds safety, but not for much longer. There it is, the Volcano ult from Hot Biscuit. It's going to land both his Q and his ultimate. They're just ignoring Vig. They know he's got his counter.
Yeah, they're like, this guy's a waste of our time. Let's focus on the other two. And on the other side of the fight, as they ignore Vig, Dizzler gets so incredibly low. Godav going to have to heal bot his allies here, but they're very behind, Carpet.
Ashka has built up for an ultimate yet again. Bako nearly having his, goes in for an in cap, but doesn't find value. Forces at least a couple of cooldowns to keep Dizzler safe. Ultimate from Varesh, but it won't find any contact. That's got to be crippling. Also the counter wasted, and it's hard. Varesh has nothing left. Dizzler's nearly dead. Ashka knows it. Varesh goes down, so does Jumong. Godav follows his teammates in their grave. GateKeepers, slow and grueling, wins the race.
Yeah, that looked awful early on, as we mentioned. GateKeepers fell so far behind early on, but they did what the GateKeepers do. They pooled ultimates and they comboed. They used their ultimates one after another, ensuring that there were no more outs available for impact, making sure they had no more abilities to escape the ultimates. And then when there were no more abilities, we saw Rutha landing a big ultimate onto Vague. Jolt's getting a pretty high impact ultimate onto Vague just before as well. And Impact, they just kind of get chunked down.
I talked about the pros of this battleship style comp. It's going to be really, really difficult for Bako to push in, but this composition doesn't move.
Right.
They're not going to be able to get that mid control, and GateKeepers notices this, so they're just going to take orb after orb until there's nothing left. The in cap on the support is actually going to let them. Yeah.
Rutha's tearing up this early game, rotating over to Gaddafi, getting enough energy to in-cap him and getting some good damage onto Dizzler, but he does end up taking a little bit of damage. The orb goes to Rutha in the red team, but they're still pretty far behind.
It's going to be a stun on Dizzler. He has to use his spacebar. Bako knows he's just trying to hunt in. Rutha, again, just menacing on that back line. Vague hasn't been touched, but it doesn't really matter. They've had enough pressure, enough cooldowns and energy used that they don't have enough to line up for combos right now. Rutha, again, finding a lot of mobility to dodge that incapacitate.
Red team getting another orb, but Rutha getting so low. That judgment damage amping Dizzler's M2, getting so much burst onto him. A little bit dicey here.
Rutha might be low, but look at this. He's just running around. They got an orb. He's gathering up the greens. He's going to gain so much health back.
The Seeker's Mark, the EXM1's being thrown out by Dizzler. Red team poised to secure yet another orb, and they do. 3-0 in favor of the GateKeepers.
And they're just going to slowly tear it away. We can get it into overtime if they keep having this mid control and they keep getting these orbs.
Yeah, and look at this alt pool. The Dance of the Dryad's going to come out, forcing out the Black Arrow and the counter. But Vague going very safe with his counter, going back to his ally. A nice shatter pushes Hot Biscuit out of behind his firewall. But Red team, they're still mid-carpet.
That was Red team still got another orb. Bako might take some damage here from the Paloma ultimate. He actually takes quite a lot. He goes down to 70 health. Dizzler and Hot Biscuit trying for the 1v1. Hot Biscuit does have a full ult right now, as does Jolty. Another Dryad.
Yeah, that was...
That's like the fourth one we've seen so far this round.
Really early ultimate coming out from Jolts. The orb going to come up yet again. We'll see if they can get it as they do. And we see all of these ultimates simply because GateKeepers are at 5 orbs now. That's a full ultimate and a quarter ahead in energy.
Impact. I think that at this time point they just want to buy time till overtime. They've got a lot of area control with panics, with Varesh just being Varesh.
I like the way you put that, Varesh being Varesh. 6 orbs now in favor of GateKeepers.
Just when you thought Impact might have it.
Yeah, not quite. And the red team, they're going to be forced to play into blue. Impact coming up because of the sudden death. The ultimate from Bako is going to whiff. Super unfortunate now. The Dance of the Dryads is coming out with a double. Rain of Arrows is on top of him. He desperately needs to find the kill onto Jolt here, but it's not looking like he's going to, as now the Varesh is in the sudden death as well. And Impact, slowly but surely, get taken down by the GateKeepers. This orb score, 7-0. You are not going to win many rounds you lose 7 orbs.
You have to think, what does Impact do? Do they just need to essentially, once that first orb comes up, is it worth dumping cooldowns, reposition, taking some hits so you can get that first orb, maybe win that trade and force back GateKeepers? I mean, I feel like if you don't do that, you just lose orb after orb. They get kind of close sometimes, and they still lose it.
These double Varesh comps go hinge heavily on bursting down one character heavily. But Rutha is playing so incredibly well early on, not taking too much damage. They really need to punish Rutha harder when he engages and pushes them out of mid early.
Well, he knows to go in early before they have enough energy to really punish him, which I really like. Right now, he's just going to put some pressure on Varesh, break line of sight of Godev, so he's not getting any heals. And then he reads the R, gets the incapacitate. He might have had the panic, but he's still in a good place to punish. Look at him go. Rutha's a monster.
Rutha, God, up top, just manhandling Vague. Vague does get his counter procs, and Impact secures the first orb, so this is looking a little better for him. Over the wall, into the tree. Vague is going to drop his ultimate, but he doesn't get the second hit. Pretty unfortunate here. We're not seeing many successful ultimates from Varesh.
Not seeing many successful ultimates from anyone Impact because it's hard for them to even build it up.
Yeah.
Godev might need to use an ultimate just for protection here. He does. Using the iframe. Bako stuck in there. Bako has an ult. Has he found value? I don't know if they know that there's enough time. He's just going to find it on Paloma and then just retreat instead. Use the bulwark. The speed bulwark has been so strong for him. Look at the damage on a Dizzler.
Such a beautiful play from Rutha, pushing Gaddafi away from Dizzler and then rotating back to find damage on him. And now up top, Vague just can't reconnect with Gaddafi.
Rutha's also not even trying. Oh, the double incapacitate. They secure the orb as well. 2 orbs to 1 Impact. Was able to sneak one, but they still have no center control. The blind ult across the wall. Hot Biscuit's signature move. followed by the Dance of the Dryads. She might die in her ultimate. She does. They don't even care.
Jolt is playing so well with these ultimates these rounds, just letting him fly when he finds an opening and getting so much value reliably. And GateKeepers, it's looking like they're going to pull ahead 3-0.
This looks so different than when I play.
Yeah.
I wonder why. What I think is really funny about Rutha is that he's playing into Varesh and not caring about the counter mind games. He will M1 straight into a counter and not care, because he'd rather do that to put pressure on him and make him use that counter as opposed to just ignoring him and letting him do his thing. The whole he's got counter, I don't want to hit him thing.
Absolutely.
So he's like, fine, use it. I don't care. I'll hit your counter. Then you won't have it. Then I know you don't have it. As opposed to this whole weird 10 seconds where you have it and I don't want to hit you because I'm scared to hit it thing. When he knows that Varesh won't get a whole lot of value out of that counter, when he hasn't landed an M2, at that point he can only use it to retreat. He's not going to get any value by landing on top of you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we're seeing it early on. Rutha knows he only has a little bit of time to play aggressively, and he's not playing those mind games with counters. He is coming in swinging.
Look at him, doesn't care. He knows he has it. He'll just hit right into it.
He's like, what's that? Whatever. Doesn't matter.
But Vague, the only value he got out of that is mobility, since he hadn't gotten any of his debuffs landed, and now actually split up. Look at this impact.
Wow.
It's pushing to the middle. I really like it, though. It's kind of their best thing, and they get the first orb.
Yeah, they do get the orb, which is absolutely massive for him, but Dizzler is getting kind of low here. A nice counter from Vague ensures that he doesn't get caught in the 1v2. Now he's 1v1ing Hot Biscuit up top. He gets a nice shatter combo off on him, but the Petrify is available.
Rutha looking for an in-cap soon. Just missing Dizzler out on that. Saving the space, and there's another Dance of the Dryads, but silence in the middle of it. There's the Varesh coming in. The ultimate from Hot Biscuit to help secure the orb.
The ultimate here coming out from Varesh, but once again, the second tick miss is so unfortunate, as if it hit Jolts, it would have been game-changing. Rutha thinking Vague didn't have the energy for that R, but Vague has the relocation ability.
Got him trying to heal up. Put his team back in a good spot. Vague's getting separated. He's unbelievable. That time you don't want to hit counter because he might just go down here. Just enough R, but oh no, he thought he'd make it across the wall.
So dicey here. Vague playing so far to the right, and Dizzler up top so separated. GateKeepers doing such a great job keeping impacts from regrouping. A nice combo here being set up on Gaddafi, and there it is.
The Incapacitate lining up all of the burst damage onto their support. GateKeepers just chunk them down minute by minute.
This is crazy, Carpet. GateKeepers going up 4-0. Impact slipping a little bit. This is not what we expected coming out of this team going into this event.
And you can, I always, when I say that team composition plays a factor, I always want to say that with a grain of salt, because I don't want anyone to say like, oh, well, they only lost because of team comp. Right. But draft's a huge part of it. You have to know what you're going into. And then outside of that, once you know that you feel, quote unquote, outdrafted, you have to figure out how to win now.
Yeah.
Right now, obviously, you're gonna have to play different than your standard. You're not gonna have to play. You're not gonna be able to play to your champion strong suits because you're in a position where right now they just can't push in. They're struggling so hard. Jolt is building up ultimates like no one's business.
Yeah, he is. And Ashka, Hot Biscuit getting so much done with this pick. We generally see him play Esmo, but the Firewall is getting so much value against his triple range comp. Oh my god. Another double in-cap to start things off. Gaddafi already getting chunked, forced to other side himself. This is not how you want the round to start if you're Impact.
Look at the damage Rutha has already output between the double in-cap and just changing targets from one to the other. Rutha hasn't been touched. They secure the orb. He gets another double in-cap. He's playing like a monster right now. They can't do anything.
Vague, though, he's manhandling. Jolt's down bottom, getting a lot of damage. Another shatter combo coming out, but the tree is available. Jolts has to space away. He just barely makes it, and Vague's committed very hard here. Luckily, his counter's proc, so he's able to reconnect with his allies, but he's still pretty low.
Rutha, again, just trying to stop that backline. Wow. Another double incapacitate. He hasn't gotten less than 2 this whole time. Varesh just barely makes it out of there.
Yeah, very close there, but still the orb is taken by GateKeepers. A strong lead here as Vague has next to no HP.
Dizzler. Full meter. Has to use a little bit to try and negate some of this damage from Rutha. The shield will protect him from the rain of arrows. Oh, that M2 just barely missing Jolt on that hitbox.
Man, watching GateKeepers play around this orb is so incredibly impressive. They time it almost perfectly, always rotating back. This time the in-cap from Rutha is going to be dodged by Gaddafi's ultimate.
I like the god of knowing that Baco is about that time. It had been about 20 seconds. He's probably coming in for another double in-cap. He goes in for another. He's just spamming that EX space. I don't think he's used a normal one all game, and I like it.
Oh, wow,
another
4 orbs
orb.
to 0. Oh, Dizzler down bottom. He's going to use the prowl, but over the wall, Hot Biscuit hits the ultimate. They might find the kill here. Oh, they get him!
My!
5-0, Carpet, 5-0.
Knowing that he was going to spacebar to his ally, Baco reads it with his spacebar, gets the burst damage, and GateKeepers take the game off of Impact in a 5-0 sweep.
My God, this is not what I expected at all. GateKeepers coming and swinging. I really like the way they did this draft. You mentioned it. They held the range pick to last. They picked the support first, feeling very confident in this Blossom pick, which was very high impact, might I add.
Yeah.
But Hot Biscuit with the Ashka pick at last, not playing the Esmo instead, finding so much value because of the way Fortress plays. Because when you see the Paloma Varesh, they kind of sit together, so that Volcano always going to be very likely to land simply because they don't move all that much, and they kind of play as a unit.
And they have to try and work together to try and stop that Bako from doing damage. But if Bako gets in early enough before they build up energy and before Varesh is able to get the debuffs, right? And this is, I talked about a little bit, the value of counter loses so much when he can't go in aggressively and actually proc that debuff.
Yeah.
If that's not there, then what is he to do? All he can do is retreat and get away from Bako. Bako don't care.
Nope.
Especially Rutha Bako don't care.
Yeah, Rutha Bako don't mind at all. He's like, whatever, no big deal.
So that game, surprisingly in favor of one team. We're going to just take a look at some of the highlights from that match and what went so well. And we'll kind of speak over to just talk about how they approached that match and why it worked so well in their favor.
Yeah, we see Rutha ulting here, but all of these ultis just being off the back of that orb control. Hot Biscuit also letting his rip in this replay. The orb control doing so much for GateKeepers in this round. We go into this one and we see that there is a little bit more energy coming out of the side of the blue team, but still just the way GateKeepers playing so together, comboing so hard as a unit, get so much true HP out of Impact that they have to play so defensively.
Did it seem that Impact, even though they saw that Blossom pick first, did it seem like they even tried to deal with that?
You know, I would have thought that the Varesh would be okay into it. You know, Varesh does have some answers to Blossom, though Gust poses some problems for Varesh. Varesh can generally find pretty reliable ultimates on Blossom since she only has Hop to get away from it. But it seemed like Veg was having a really hard time getting onto the Blossom because of Jolt's positioning. Really nice play from Jolt's, made it so that he couldn't easily be punished for how he was playing.
Then there was also just constantly a Rutha just mowing down your backline. So it was really difficult for him to feel confident going in because he needed to kind of support and help his teammates because that composition needs to work together. Paloma can't do anything alone, and that is the biggest flaw of Paloma. She can't heal without people, and she needs people to help move around to find value in her abilities. Because all of her abilities are like, here, I'm going to put a spacebar on your character so that you can take less damage. If you're not there, what am I supposed to do? Well, I guess I can put it on the enemy. It's just not how Palomas like to play.
Right.
They like to try and support their teammates. So Varesh needed to stay near Paloma, but if Paloma's getting pressure on the Rutha, then Varesh didn't really want to go in, and then Jamong was there trying to do everything he could. Very, very well played.
Yeah, very systematic play too. Like you mentioned, Rutha would go in, play aggressively, and then back out and secure the orb. Very, very methodical play coming out from the GateKeepers. Strategy reigned supreme in this game.
Yeah,